rimas que quiero decirte al oído, porque alguien como tú nunca había conocido. Y te digo, no tendré billete, pero voy a ser ese hombre que siempre te ama y te respete. Tal vez no podré llevarte todos los días a cenar, tampoco llegar en carro para poderte conquistar, pero algo sí, te amaré hasta el fin. Aunque andemos en camión y si no hay lana a patín, te visitaré todos los días al salir del jale. Te improvisaré un poco a ver si alguna rima sale. Despertaré bien temprano y te haré el desayuno. Iremos cada semana al cine, pero los días 2x1 serás mi número gratis y tu voz será mi tono. La razón por la que en el food siempre me perfecciono. Yo seré el que cuando vayas a la tienda el guatepiche, el que apenas pisa tu casa y tu hermano ya anda de metiche. Yo tengo tu amor. Porque logré enamorarte, para mí es más que eso. Eres la razón por la que gasto saldo de 20 pesos. Porque cada que salimos nunca en mí quiero gastar. Es que luego a mi casa como voy a regresar. Soy el que cuando va de visita tu mamá se alegra. Si ya se le está notando que ella quiere ser mi suegra. Ay, mijito, tú no sabes lo que te vas a llevar. Si esta niña muy apenas sabe lavar y planchar. No importa que cada que cocines algo salga mal. No importa tampoco esa vez que quemaste el cereal. Comeré todos los días huevo como una rutina. Del lado positivo nos ahorramos la cocina. Quiero llenarte de besos cada día de la semana. Que seas la hermosura que alegra mis mañanas. Que bien sepas que toda la vida aquí voy a estar. Y que al contar nuestra historia volvernos a enamorar. Yo tengo
If you could all please take your seats, Operation Streamline is about to begin. Welcome everyone to this court session. Let the accused please come forward.
Los acusados pueden acercarse, por favor.
You have each been charged with a felony count of illegal entry into the United States of America.
Cada uno de ustedes ha estado acusado de entrar de forma ilegal a los Estados Unidos de América.
You have each agreed to give up your rights in exchange for a reduced sentence and will be deported from this country to your country of origin.
Todos han dejado sus derechos para pasar menos tiempo en la cárcel y van a ser deportados a su país de origen.
Do you accept these conditions?
¿Todos aceptan esas condiciones?
Sí. Bailiff, please escort them from the courtroom.
What you just saw was a recreation of Operation Streamline, the expedited process for deportation of large numbers of immigrants. After their court hearing, they are detained for a short period of time and then returned to their countries. The courtroom in Tucson was silent, except for the eerie clinking of chains as the migrants filed past us, making uncomfortable eye contact, and we realized we were no different from them. Our first week of cross-cultural was spent crossing the border between the United States and Mexico almost every day to study immigration issues on both sides. We visited a Border Patrol station, the home of a Christian Border Patrol agent, several community projects and humanitarian organizations, and multiple detention centers where some of us were able to have conversations with detained migrants. We learned quite a lot in a very short period of time, and a lot of what we saw was difficult or unpleasant to process. The immigration at the border is a very complex and multifaceted issue, not a standard two-sided issue, as many of us perceived it before we arrived. I'm going to share something from my reflection journal from that period of time. The opinion I've developed about the border is a bit of a mess. I can see it easily from the point of view of the migrants wanting to cross into the US, because after living in Agua Prieta, Mexico for a week, in what I'm assuming were pretty good third world conditions, I was ready to come back. On a much larger scale than comfort, they need money, and we have opportunities to earn money here. In Central American countries where there's little to no financial or even physical security, they're left with little choice but to seek something better. Then the Border Patrol are doing what they feel or what they've been told is right, protecting our border from illegal entry and drug trafficking. The drug mules and the coyotes who charge migrants thousands of dollars in exchange for safe passage into the country have found an easy way to make money doing what they do, so that encourages and drives them too. But the coyotes are also known for doing terrible things to the migrants, who have not only paid them all of their money, but also have no choice but to trust them. Sometimes the coyotes rape the women or just abandon them in the desert to avoid capture themselves. But everyone's ultimate goal is the money to survive. The drug cartel leaders, then, are probably the ones I have the most trouble offering justification for. They have sick amounts of money that you can see just by looking at their houses, and they still want more. But again, I don't know how they got there. Maybe their parents weren't around or were involved in the cartels themselves, or were killed and left the child with few choices for survival. Then I'm sure the drug trafficking industry becomes a way of life. That's when Mark and Jack's catchphrase, "made in the image of God and loved by God," gets stuck in my head and when I need it most, because even those people are God's artwork, and the world hurt them first. So I need to remind myself to pray for the Border Patrol and the cartels and the smugglers and the coyotes, along with the humanitarians and migrants, because God knows each of them personally. The other responsibility we all have is to start turning statistics into mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandchildren. I'm talking with a lot of people now about believing that God walks with us and cares in all circumstances, even though my problems look so insignificant in comparison.
So I wrote this poem after we'd spent about a week at the US-Mexico border studying the issues of immigration. And during our time there, as Carrie mentioned, it was easy to sympathize with the struggle of the migrants and also pretty easy to demonize the Border Patrol. The green uniform began to symbolize cruelty and hatred as I tried to direct my frustration about all these issues towards something tangible. We went to have dinner at the house of a Christian Border Patrol agent named Rob one evening at the end of the week, and meeting him challenged me in the ways that I had made generalizations about the Border Patrol. This is something I wrote in the midst of that mental conflict. It's called Geode. Green hatred, fronteras to keep out, stay out. Exclusionary force and never-ending suspicion, immune to the tears of desperation and mourning. Where, how can there be love? And yet, in quiet hearts that house compassion, love is found. Like a geode, ugly on the outside and somehow more lovely at its core, the green uniform peels away to reveal a mystery, an impossible heart of earnest care. Perplexed, confused, I reach out and allow myself to love.
So this is a song that we learned while we were at the U.S.-Mexico border, and it's a song that has stayed with us throughout this whole entire trip, so we would like to share it with you now. And feel free to join in as you pick up the tune.
Next is our experience with bargaining in markets.
Excuse me, how much does this cost?
$10.
Oh, perfect.
Hola.
Hola.
¿Cuánto cuesta?
40. Buen precio.
10.
30.
15.
25 es mi precio final.
20.
25.
20?
25.
No, gracias.
Está bien, 20.
Gracias.
And finally, the difference in living situations. In Guatemala,
Hola, mamá. Hola, papá.
Hola, Daddy.
Hola, sister. Hola, niece. Hola, cousin. Hola, other cousin. Hola, other niece. Hola, grandma. Hola, grandma.
and at EMU.
Hey, Rumi. How are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good, too.
Thank you.
After our time in Mexico, we traveled to Guatemala, where we were spending 2 months in the city studying Spanish at a school called Casa Semilla. Our mornings consisted of Spanish classes, while our afternoons were filled with guest speakers and visits to various organizations where we learned about religion, social issues, and Guatemalan history and culture. We also went on several weekend trips, which included the markets of Chichicastenango, the Mayan ruins of Tikal, Lake Atitlan, and the Semana Santa celebrations in Antigua. A large portion of our time in Guatemala was spent living with host families. All of us lived with different host families dispersed throughout the city. As a result of daily commutes, a new language, and many other aspects of everyday life, living with our new families was a novel learning experience. Many new relationships were formed, and it was especially heartwarming to hear about the unique bonds we had with certain members of our host families. This rings true for me, as I was able to connect with my host dad, Rodolio, right from the start, and over time, my perception of him shifted from stranger to friend. He was so eager to help me learn, and almost every night after dinner, we would have many lessons together. He would whip out his mini notebook, pour us each a cup of coffee, and introduce the evening's topic. I would follow suit by teaching him things in English as well. Time was never wasted, not even in standstill Guatemalan traffic, on the daily car rides to and from school. Our topics of study included everything from opposites in colors to slang and common phrases, and the car quickly turned into my second classroom. On several weekends, I would wake up to find out that we were going on historical trips to see various maps and landmarks located throughout the city. I'm extremely grateful for all the time my host dad invested in me, and also for all the random, hilarious, and sometimes awkward moments we shared. So here is just a glimpse into some of my finer bonding moments with Rodolio. There was the time when I got eaten alive by mosquitoes in our house, so he bought us both electric mosquito rackets, and we had a mosquito zapping party, swatting frantically from room to room. Or maybe the time when the dachshund dogs were walking down the sidewalk and he just kept yelling and pointing, "Kenzie, sausages, sausages, sausages," as I stared in utter confusion. Or the times I would come down the stairs for dinner, but instead was instructed to sit, as I listened to the talented Rodolio play the marimba with not 2, but mind you, 4 mallets. And finally, the time I found a spider the size of a small monster staring back at me on my bedroom floor. I asked him to help me kill it, and his weapon of choice was a single piece of rolled up newspaper. After many, many beatings, the spider finally died, and he attempted casual conversation as he slowly swept the remains across the floor, leaving behind a trail of legs. "Don't worry," he assured me. "There are always spiders here," as he gave me a comforting pat on the shoulder. Needless to say, I slept great that night. In all seriousness, because of our many entertaining experiences, I came to consider Rodolio not only as a second father, but also a true friend. The time I spent with my host family is close to my heart and something I will always treasure.
Claudia is my Guatemalan family's maid. She's 19, like me. She has long, thick black hair and a nice, fine figure. She likes to watch telenovelas. She met her boyfriend at age 13. They've been together ever since. She lives here with my host family in a tiny room on the roof. She only gets to go to her home outside of the city every other Saturday after she cleans up our lunch. She is quiet. She has dimples when she smiles, and she has perfect teeth. She doesn't like eggs very much, but she makes them for us almost every night. This is her first job ever. She's quitting. Saturday will be her last day. She wants to get papers to visit the U.S., but she doesn't know how hard that will be for her to do. She doesn't know what she wants to do next. Tonight my family was away, so for the first time, Claudia and I ate side by side on the kitchen island. While we ate, she showed me pictures of her loved ones. My broken Spanish didn't seem to matter. After we finished, we were still hungry, so I prepared us coffee, and she cut up watermelon and papaya. She drenched them in honey and sprinkled granola on top. I will miss her. She's wise beyond her years. I washed our dishes tonight, even though that's her job, because I wanted Claudia to know that we are equals. My life could have been hers. My past, my parents, my beliefs, they don't make me better than anyone else.
During our orientation for weekend trips, leader gave us some conflicting advice.
Hey guys, I would really appreciate it if you didn't eat the street food because it's going to make you really sick.
Yeah, I highly recommend that you eat the street food. As long as it's fried, it should be fine. It doesn't even have to be fried, actually. We can talk about this later.
In our second week in Guatemala, a plague of sickness overtook us. We decided it was time to go to Byron.
Not good.
Oh, me neither.
Oh my gosh, guys, so much diarrhea. I can't. Cancel our afternoon events today. Do you think we can do that?
No, I think it's all in your head. So how many pizzas are we getting tonight?
One morning on our trip, Kevin had a surprise for us, and Paul made very clear his opinion on surprises.
Hey guys, I know you're all eating breakfast, but would you mind following me down to the dock real quick? Could you guys come all over here? We have a surprise planned for you this morning.
You hear that, Paul? A surprise. I wonder what it is.
I don't like surprises.
The final segment of our journey was a whirlwind of 11 days spent in the vibrant, dignified, and welcoming Cuba. When we stepped off the plane, we were amazed by the old cars that we saw everywhere. Our amazement continued to grow as we came to see just how alive this country was. We saw artists, art, musicians, and music all over, and dancing, so much dancing. It was refreshing to see how much emphasis Cubans put on the importance of arts, especially shown by the houses of culture around the country, where the community members get together to create music with all ages.
Another thing we learned about was the government structure. One thing we found interesting was their focus on the poor and disabled instead of how we are used to focusing on the wealthy in this country. One way they showed this was the free healthcare for all people. They all had doctors that lived in communities, and they would work then with their community and know all of their patients and live with them. Another way they showed this was Cuba sends doctors to many countries around the world to help in poorer countries that don't have the doctors that they need. Another thing we found interesting was the non-consumeristic culture. We saw no advertisements in Cuba, not even once. Their lack of things because of the embargo and the lack of goods was very evident, and there weren't very many stores. We kind of wanted to buy some shirts and didn't really find many. And so this showed in not really having much technology, but everyone knew how to dance and play music, and they had a lot of focus and time put into arts.
It is sad that we know so little about this incredible country who neighbors us. However, as we were there, the Summit of the Americas was taking place, and the heads of our countries, Obama and Raul Castro, met face to face for the first time in over 50 years to talk about releasing the embargo with Cuba.
So we left Cuba 3 days ago, and we learned a lot. Each day was jam-packed full with lectures. So we're still definitely processing a lot and haven't put much thought into it. So if you want to know more, we did learn lots, so please ask students that you know, and we will be happy to talk about it with you.
As per cross-cultural chapel tradition, we have a few statistics to show a little piece of how our semester went.
Number of dreadlocks created, 23.
Number of big bags of peanut M&Ms the group consumed, 15.
Number of marriage proposals, 1. Shout out to Kevin Treichel and Bethany Parks on their engagement and for creating an awesome memory for all of us.
Number of headbands bought, 78.
Number of pizzas ordered, 96.
Number of people sick in the same week, 23. Shout out to Byron for being the lone survivor of the plague.
Number of miles the group ran, 290. Number of those miles run by Paul, 250.
Number of Cuban cigars obtained, 152.
Amount of cash we helped carry to Cuba, $30,000.
And finally, the number of cumulative push-ups the group did, 25,176.
We also created a group bucket list that gives at least a small glimpse into a few more experiences from our semester. The trip was full of many adventures and firsts of things that we had never done before. Most were exciting and fun, and there are a couple of these that some of us probably don't want to repeat again. Here's a short list.
Number 1, sat on and climbed a cactus.
Number 2, hiked the magnificent mountains of the Sonora Desert.
Number 3, climbed the wall of the US-Mexico border.
Number 4, hiked a volcano and roasted marshmallows over the lava at the top.
Number 5, helped indigenous women make tortillas on the streets of Chichicastenango.
Number 6, learned how to successfully bargain in the Guatemalan markets.
Number 7, held a tarantula even on someone's face.
Number 8, successfully entered Cuba legally.
And number 9, held a crocodile.
Maria, Krista, and Byron, and I would love to invite Maria and Krista both up here. So Krista is adventurous, open, a daring dancer, completely at ease while starting conversation with anyone. She is practical, yet optimistic, and also proficient in a plethora of accents. All of these qualities more make for a leader who we all felt very much at ease talking with. Because of her love for music and singing, we got her a hymnal, which we will bring later, where we marked all of our favorite hymns. Thank you so much, Krista. Te queremos mucho.
And our other wonderful leader is Maria. So throughout the semester-long voyage, Maria provided the group with calm leadership. Prior knowledge from last year, she is constantly upbeat and observant of all that is happening. Also, her translating skills are impressive. And because of that, we decided to get her a Spanish to Quiche dictionary so that she can continue to grow in new languages. We don't have that to present to her now, but thanks for everything, Maria.
And finally, we'd like to invite Byron up. So essentially, Byron is the perfect leader. People often say that, but with Byron, we mean it. He is much more than your average Mennonite man. He is willing to try almost anything once. He is without a doubt a very dedicated fanny pack wearer. He is caring and keen on listening, even though he is wiser than all of us. He treated us with respect and trust from the start and got to know us all as individuals.
Also, he found a very convenient place to carry his, his reading materials. And since he enjoys reading so much, we all picked out our favorite books to give him. Enjoy.
No, you gotta hold it up.
Enjoy these books, Byron. And just one more thing. Muchísimas gracias.
And now we invite you guys to stay after for a little bit. We have a slideshow, but if you have to go to finals, that's also okay. So thank you for coming.
Tengo un celular con diamantes de muchos quilates para impresionar. Pero tengo una buena conversación con la que te enamoro más y más. No tengo un jet privado que compré con la Black Card, pero tengo una guagua vieja con la que siempre vamos a pasear.
Tengo un montón de rimas que quiero decirte al oído, porque alguien como tú nunca había conocido. Y te digo, no tendré billete, pero voy a ser ese hombre que siempre te ama y te respete. Tal vez no podré llevarte todos los días a cenar, tampoco llegar en carro para poderte conquistar, pero algo sí, te amaré hasta el fin. Aunque andemos en camión y si no hay lana a patín. Te visitaré todos los días al salir del jale. Te improvisaré un poco a ver si alguna rima sale. Despertaré bien temprano y te haré el desayuno. Iremos cada semana al cine, pero los días 2x1. Serás mi número gratis y tu voz será mi tono. La razón por la que en el food siempre me perfecciono. Yo seré el que cuando vayas a la tienda algo te piche. El que apenas pisa tu casa y tu hermano ya anda de metiche.
Yo tengo tu amor, I got your love. Yo tengo tu amor, yo tengo tu love, yeah. Yo tengo tu amor, I got your love. Yo tengo tu amor, yo tengo tu love, yeah.
Porque logré enamorarte, para mí es más que eso. Eres la razón por la que gasto saldo de 20 pesos. Porque cada que salimos nunca en mí quiero gastar. Es que luego a mi casa como voy a regresar. Soy el que cuando va de visita tu mamá se alegra. Si ya se le está notando que ella quiere ser mi suegra. Ay, mijito, tú no sabes lo que te vas a llevar. Si esta niña muy apenas sabe lavar y planchar. No importa que cada que cocines algo salga mal. No importa tampoco esa vez que quemaste el cereal. Comeré todos los días huevo como una rutina. Del lado positivo nos ahorramos la cocina. Quiero llenarte de besos cada día de la semana. Que seas la hermosura que alegra mis mañanas. Que bien sepas que toda la vida aquí voy a estar. Y que al contar nuestra historia volvernos a enamorar.
Yo tengo tu amor,